Welcome to the WRC podcast. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and you're in the right place. Here at the Well-Rounded Counselor podcast, what you can expect is to learn, shift your thinking, and gain personal and professional growth. And if you have not yet done so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another podcast episode. The conversation starts now. Hey everybody, how is it going? It has been a few weeks since I posted an episode, and I really do want to just give you a little update with what's going on in my world and some pearls of wisdom, and just kind of the bread and butter of what this podcast is about is just inspiring and giving you some positivity into the work you do each and every single day as a counselor. No matter if you work in a school, a clinic, you work for yourself, whatever that looks like for you, this podcast is for counselors and it is by counselors. So I just want to make that very clear. If you're new to what I do, if you're new to the podcast, if you're new to me on LinkedIn, and I just wanted to kind of come on here and just let you know that the past few weeks I've been feeling a little tired, a little burnt out, even though I had just come back from traveling and being with my family over in the US. I was just tired, and I didn't want to come on to a podcast where I didn't feel motivated or inspired. And I feel like I'm a firm believer, if I'm not feeling inspired, if I'm not feeling it, don't do it. It's not meant to be. And I felt like as a counselor, I had to put my well-being and what I was feeling first, no matter what. And I needed to honor that. In addition to that, I had caught, a cold or a cough or something. And I felt like every 2 seconds I would have been coughing on each of these episodes that I would have been recording the past couple weeks. So I just wanted to give myself and my body a break. And, everyone always says, you got to put other people first. You got to put people first, kids, students, family, etc. But I'm a firm believer you got to put yourself first, because if you do not put yourself first, you cannot show up well and your best version for other people. And maybe that's easier said than done for some, but for me, I know for a fact that if I don't feel my best, I'm going to snap at people. I'm not going to, be in a positive mood or uplifting or motivating. I'm going to be pretty crabby and moody and unhappy. So if you're feeling me with what I'm saying, I apologize that I haven't been active on here, but I had to put myself first, and I hope you understand, which most people will, I believe. So with that being said, I just want to kind of also just remind you that I do have my book, The Well-Rounded Counselor, Considerations for International College Counselors, and I wanted to just remind you that it is only $2.99. It is an easy read. It's a good time to buy it because we're starting a new year, a new academic school year, I should say, if you work in a school, or kind of that new school year cycle. And we got 4 months left of 2023, essentially, and we got, 10 months to go with the school year. And you got to ask yourself, like, what are your goals? And if you work in the international world, or if you are a domestic counselor, when I say domestic, I'm talking about you work in your home country. Okay, when I say domestic, a lot of my audience is in the US, so I will use that term domestic. If you are an international counselor, you got to be already thinking about next academic year, 2024-2025. And if you are a domestic counselor, maybe you're thinking about taking that leap and going abroad, or you're thinking about making that career change. And I feel like my book would be a really good starting point. I don't know any professional development out there that is less than $3. I mean, paid. I'm talking about paid professional development. I'm not talking about free stuff, because there's lots of free stuff out there. But if you want food for thought, if you really want to, kind of just get some general guidance from somebody who's been there, done that, pick up my book. It is an easy read. It will take you probably like 1 to 2 hours if you are doing the workbook, because there is a workbook inside, and I really would like for you to reflect on what I talk about, because the whole point of being a well-rounded counselor is you being great at what your bread and butter is, what your, that niche that you're good at, and then having a bunch of skills to complement it. That is what a well-rounded counselor is. And this book is going to kind of help you see what your your edge is, what I would say is like, what helps you stand out, as I said, the bread and butter of how you are as a counselor. For me, um, I I have lots of different things and lots of things that I can contribute, but that's not what this episode is about today. This episode is about welcoming you back to a new school year, hoping you're feeling refreshed. Hopefully, you are feeling like you're ready to take on another year and do things differently. I know that last year I faced some personal challenges and professional challenges, and I don't want to say a little, I had a lot of a learning curve. That doesn't even make sense in real English, but I had a big learning curve in some areas of my life. And although I don't share every single detail, I think in due time I will, because it was very emotional for me. And it was a very rocky 6 months. The last 6 months of the school year was hard for me, especially the last 2 months. And I was very emotional. And through that, I really relied on doing my podcast, and that's why I did a lot of interviews during that time. I didn't really talk about me. I wanted to put the focus on other people. I wanted to digest what the feedback was showing me. I even wrote about a little bit of that on LinkedIn, if you follow me on LinkedIn. And by the way, I've been getting a lot of beautiful feedback from you guys. Every time I put a post out there, I get private messages, I get lots of questions. So if you are interested in asking me a question, I'm actually going to be doing a kind of a live Q&A, not a live Q&A, but if you send me questions, I'm going to compile all of them, and then I'm going to answer them on a podcast. And I think that that's going to be really beneficial, because there's so many of the same questions I'm getting. So now is your chance, if you catch this podcast, in the next couple weeks. See, there goes my throat. uh, Well-being, people, well-being. So if you catch my podcast, I'm going to be compiling questions over the next 4 weeks. And before the new year, I'm going to definitely put a Q&A kind of podcast out there. So please, please, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm going to leave the link below in the show notes. And while you're listening to this episode, you literally can go into Spotify and click on the link and add me. So killing two birds with one stone, they say. So this is a perfect time for you to kind of realign your goals, figure out how do you want to grow as a professional. I know that sometimes I look back over the years and I think, man, I could have did this differently, or I could have, handled that situation better, or I wish I tried this, or I wish I did that. And you're still kind of in the same place that you were, say, last year or the year before, even the last 5 years, and you feel like you're not growing. Like I said, think about what it is that you want. First, get very clear. I'm sure you've heard this. This is step one. Decide what you want. Decide how you want to change, what's important to you. What do you want to learn? What do you want to do differently? Write it down and see if there is money available for that in your school, or maybe advocate for yourself, or maybe reach out to a network of people. I mean, there's so many ways for you to get the support that you need in order for you to grow. And I'm not just talking professionally, because sometimes, us as counselors, we're very empathetic people. How we are on the inside, we're kind of emotional. I don't want to say emotional, like crybaby emotional, but we're like sensitive people. And we feel what other people feel. When people are upset with us, we feel that. When people are happy with us, we're happy, even more. If we are feeling people are overwhelmed, we take on that overwhelm as if it's our own, and we empathize. So we are feelers, a lot of us that are counselors. So there are communities out there that can support your goals, support you, and support the work that you're doing. Like I said, I work in a school, I do university guidance, I do well-being, pastoral kind of care. So I do a lot of different things, and I do have favorite things that I enjoy doing, and then there are not so favorite things that I do. And we all have that in a job. That's part of it, especially if you work in a school setting or a big organization. The politics of a workplace. Sometimes there's aspects of a job you don't enjoy doing it, but maybe you want to get better at it and learn to love it, or learn to enjoy it, or do things differently, or bring new processes into your office or your school. And I want you to think about the steps you need to take to do that, because you don't want to be this time next year. What is it? It's the end of August 2023, beginning of September almost. You don't want to be in the same place next year. You just don't. And so it's not a new year in the sense of like January 1st, create new goals and stuff. This is a new academic year. You've had some time off. I know I've had some time off to reflect. And during my plane ride back from Los Angeles, that's a long flight all the way to Dubai. And I had some time to think about like, what do I really want this year? Like, do I want to stay in my current position? Do I want to take on this opportunity or that opportunity? Or do you want to go for this and take that leap, even though I'm scared and I don't have the confidence and all of that? I need to think through like, what do I really want? And I had to write it down and I had to take my own advice and get clear. And although I don't have all of the answers right now, I do have clarity. And so I want for you to have some level of clarity after you make a decision of the things that are important to you, the things you'd like to achieve, and then have some clarity about how you'd like to achieve that. Who do you need to reach out to? Is it somebody like myself, who's another counselor, or is it somebody in another industry where, another counselor has skill sets that, could really benefit the line of work you do? Again, whatever it looks like, you need to figure that out. I also want to acknowledge that there are a lot of people who've maybe shifted to a new role or a new job this year, especially if you're in a school setting. Maybe you've changed jobs or you're in a new career, you're in a career change. And I can firsthand say that there are 4 new members on my team, and it is overwhelming. My school is a beast. There's a lot of moving parts. You got to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty pretty fast. And there's not a lot of time for you to think things through. You just gotta, go feet first or head first or whatever the saying is. You gotta dive in and go head first. There you go. You gotta dive in and you gotta just roll with it. And there's a lot of learning on the job. And 9 years ago, when I started in the school that I'm at, because I've been there for 9 years, it was tough, but I can't imagine what my new colleagues are feeling, because there's a lot more complicated layers 9 years later. And there's going to be a big learning curve. So, no matter who you are, if you're new to your new workplace, if you're new to the field, if you're just, starting fresh at a different location, a different school or workplace, just remind yourself that you don't have to know everything today and you don't have to have it all figured out tomorrow. It's going to take time. And if I could give you one piece of advice that I told my team, is just, ask questions, ask for help. Also, eat food during the day. Take a break. Don't feel like you have to solve everybody's problems. Again, it kind of goes back to my main point. Take care of yourself, pace yourself, give yourself some grace. I'm going to be talking about some do's and don'ts of how to start the school year with an awesome professional in one of my upcoming episodes. So you definitely don't want to miss it. And we're going to talk about, balance and stuff in the workplace, and kind of taking care of yourself and trying not to burn yourself out. And we just started. So it's literally only day 2 of the new school year. So I can't even imagine what my new colleagues are truly feeling at the end of the workday. But here I am. I'm here to just remind you that all is well, one step at a time. Think about your goals. If you're new to what you're doing this year, just take everything, in your own stride. It's gonna all work out. And the only person putting pressure on you is really yourself, because you don't want to let people down. You don't want to let yourself down. That's the most important. And, you want to make a good impression. But at the end of the day, you need the confidence and you have to do things for yourself to build that confidence, whatever that looks like, however that looks like. For me, my communication style, although I feel like I have a pretty good sense of communication, there are some big weak points that I need to improve on, and constantly remind myself of, okay, I need to be more clear and articulate it more clearly to certain things about certain situations. And I learned that the hard way last year, that I wasn't doing that, even though I thought I was. And so, whatever that looks like to you, reflect on it. Think about how you can make the effort to change for the greater good, and also keep in mind that whoever you're working with, whether it's like I said, students, parents, adults, young people, adolescents, elderly, assume best intentions of everybody. That's probably the biggest thing. And I heard that recently from one of my high school admin when she said, just assume everyone has good intentions, everyone's best intentions, especially via email or, if they're upset, assume best intentions. And that's something that has stuck with me literally for the past week. And it's really helped me when people are pressuring me, making me feel overwhelmed. I just smile, take a deep breath, and I just think to myself, okay, assume best intentions. And that really resonated with me. Whatever that looks like for you, find something that resonates with you so it helps you not feel overwhelmed in the moment. All right, you guys, and I just want to remind you as well a couple other things. So, as I mentioned on LinkedIn, some of my episodes now are going to be paid episodes. So, if you're looking for some specialized information, my podcast slowly will be going paid, slowly, very slowly. I've already allocated a few episodes that have an extremely high analytic count, meaning a lot of people go to those episodes. I decided to, because the content is very good and people are receiving that information well, I decided to make that paid because the content is what I feel high value. But all of my interviews or co-hosting episodes will be free, and there will still be a lot of free content to come. So please enjoy the episodes of these podcasts. And also, like I said, if you are interested in possibly collaborating, that's something that I am constantly exploring. So you are more than welcome to contact me via LinkedIn, private message me. And also, if you have questions, like I said, please send me your questions. I get so many questions. You wouldn't even believe how many questions I get. And like I said, a lot of them are the same. So if you do have a question and you do feel like you want some guidance, I can give that to you specifically, as well as share that with my community. Because again, there's nothing like this podcast out there. I'll be very honest. I've been searching, and if you find something like this podcast, please send it to me and prove me wrong. But there is nothing like it, and I'm really grateful that I have this space to talk with all of you, and I'm really grateful that people love the content and people are telling me that they were underestimating it, but they were pleasantly surprised. So, one last thing, I promise you, I have my course, Simplifying the College Application Process from A to Z. Again, it has really high reviews on it. You can look through it. A lot of times, Udemy, but by the way, the course is on Udemy. Udemy has sales all the time. The course is priced at $20, $19.99, but you can usually get it for 50% off for $9.99. And occasionally, I don't know if I'll be doing it anytime soon, maybe around the holidays, I'll be doing like a discount code or possibly giving away for like 10 to 10 people for free, the first 10 people. I like to do that. I feel it's always important to give back free knowledge, content wherever I can. But again, at the end of the day, my heart and soul went into creating these wonderful resources, and a lot of people have said that it's helped them and they feel it's a fantastic resource. And you can go ahead and read the reviews on that as well. So as I said, sending you lots of positivity. I hope this new academic year is filled with abundance, prosperity, peace, and so much more, and you get everything you want out of this next academic year. So get clear and make a decision. Those are the biggest steps you're going to take in order to reach your goals. So wishing you lots of luck, and I'll speak to you guys on the next episode.
Did you love the episode? I hope you're feeling inspired and no longer feeling alone out there, and you're ready to evolve and become a better person. Make sure that you share this podcast or take a screenshot and post it on your social media. That's how you help spread this podcast organically, and people can find it much easier when you share, or share it with a loved one. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and make it your mission to be a blessing in someone else's life today.